Good afternoon and welcome to You and Your Business with me, Alec on 103.2 Dublin City FM. Each week, I invite an expert from the world of business to share their knowledge, insights and tips to help you with your business challenges. If there's a topic you would like covered or if you feel you can make a contribution, please email me at yourbusiness@dublincityfm.ie and perhaps we'll be having a chat here one day soon. My guest today is a business and mindset coach. She's an interesting and colourful work-life history, as we shall hear in a few minutes. And she was a scuba diving instructor in a previous life. I'm delighted to welcome Alana O'Regan to the In Your Business studio. Hi, Alana.
Well, hello, Alec. Great to be here. Thank you for having me.
Yes, it certainly is colourful. And however, we will drag you back to those days in school. You know, that whether you were the person who wanted to travel, you were the academic, or you just wanted to get the money and go to work. What were you? What fitted your...
I was definitely the one that wanted to travel, get out there and experience some adventures.
Excellent. And so, okay, you've got out of school. What are you doing? Where are you going?
Gosh, well, my first port of call was to take a gap year.
All right.
I always knew I was going to go to university. That was never a question. But yeah, I thought do a gap year. And I was actually lucky enough to win a green card.
Wow.
In the lottery. It was a lottery I hadn't even entered.
Good.
So when the paperwork came through the post, which was actually during the Easter holidays of 6th year in school, and it said, "Congratulations, you have won an AA1 visa. Don't sell your house or give up your job yet." But now I didn't have a job or a house, so that was easy enough. But I was like, what even is this? Anyway, it transpired my father had put my name down on some flight he was on, and I was the lucky winner. So I didn't sell my house or give up my job, but I did everything else that they required me to do. And I jetted off to New York for...
Good old dad. My goodness, he was looking after you.
Yeah.
Right. Okay, New York's a big place. And
I think he might have regretted it, though, afterwards.
Listen, every daughter breaks a father's heart at some stage, you know. So tell me, what sort of work were you going to do in New York?
Oh, gosh. Well, so I was lucky enough to know that, and actually I was supposed to have gone the previous year. Family friends ran this tour company in New York, which actually looked after all school kids going on their 3 to 5 day trips to New York. And actually the summer before, I had been offered to go over for a couple of weeks, but it ended up then I think I was 2 days out, flights booked, everything. And they asked me for my visa and more my social security number or something like that. And when I didn't have the proper paperwork, it couldn't happen.
Just as well you didn't try and blag your way in.
I know, well, exactly. Yeah. But anyway, it was obviously meant to happen, because the next year I got the paperwork. So I called them up and I said, you know, can I come and work for you this year for the full season? But the season didn't actually start until March. Oh. I was going over in September.
Okay.
So I went to be a nanny in Long Island.
All right. Okay, that should be interesting.
Which was the original plan, but it ended in an absolute nightmare. Actually, okay. Yeah, no, it really was. When I think back to it, I was put in the basement, and I wasn't a nanny, I was a maid, and I had never cleaned a bathroom in my life before, and next minute that's all I seemed to be doing. Right. And yeah, it didn't work out very well. And you know, I probably shouldn't admit this on here, but it's the only time in my life, but I was fired. I was okay. No. Fired from being a maid. I'm like, okay. But literally out on the streets. So that was when my dad was definitely not so sure but I knew a couple of people in the city. So I moved in, I did a little bit of couch surfing, and I ended up getting a job with a company called Chemical Melon Shareholder Information Services. And it was the first time that realization of how being Irish abroad is a really good thing. And the president of that company was an Irish guy. And I got the job through the Emerald, gosh, what was it even called? Yeah, anyway, I'm 18. I'm out there going, what have I got to lose? I get the job, I found myself an apartment, and off I went.
Yeah, and that's what you do. And I mean, they did you a favor getting rid of you out of the place. They wanted a skivvy.
Oh,
And
Alec, they did. And I was on the phone home, you know, back in the days when it was reverse charges to the parents crying, going, I want to leave. And my poor parents going, oh, I know, but maybe just stay, because they're like, at least you're safe there.
yeah. Well, I mean, you know, in fairness, listen, we all have to adapt, and we do it much better than a lot of people give us credit for. So, I mean, you're able to turn a bad position into a good one.
Yeah,
So,
well, I learned it easy. I learned it early, I should say.
Yeah, no, that's it. So anyway, you get a job working for a tour company.
Yes. So I did the Chemical Melon shareholder information for a few months. But then I moved into Manhattan and I started working for this tour company. And here I was, as I say, an Irish kid straight out of school, bringing groups of students from all over America around New York, bringing them to theatre, bringing them to the Statue of Liberty. The first time I'm doing the touristy stuff in New York, I'm bringing, you know, droves of school kids along with me. It was an absolutely fantastic experience.
I'm sure
living just off Times Square, and it was a full-on buzz. And as an 18-year-old, it was just
living the dream, and why not?
Exactly.
And of course, doing the sensible Irish thing, you've put a couple of years onto yourself so you can get into a bar if you need to, or
absolutely,
it gives you more credibility. That's what I like. Think on your feet.
And I love it. Yes. So from then, you know, telling everybody when I was 18, I was 21, and I think that's changed considerably. I'd definitely be taking those 3 years off me now, given the chance.
There we go. Listen, take them whichever way they work for you. You know, that's the thing. All right. So you're going to do that for a year, but you're going to come back and do your degree. So what did you do?
I did media studies and sociology in Leeds.
All right. And why those two in particular?
Yeah, good question. Because for me, you said, well, you know, was I the academic, or was I the one that was going to travel or make money in school? I was the one that knew that I wanted to work, but I knew I really wanted to enjoy what it was I was going to do. I wanted to do something exciting. So that was where the media studies came in. I was always interested in the world of radio and television and film and all of that. And I could really see myself getting into that space, and sociology, because I thought I might like it. It sounded like something I might be interested in.
Good. And if you're just joining us now, you're listening to You and Your Business with me, Alec Drew, on 103.2 Dublin City FM, where my guest today is Alana O'Regan. And we're just talking about, so you've completed a 3-year degree in Leeds University in media and sociology. What are you going to do with that? Are you heading off around the world again, or what are you going to do?
At the time, the plan would have been to probably go to London.
All right.
And hit the you know, where better to get into the world of media. I'm already in the UK. I've got a UK degree. That would have been the plan.
Sure.
But I was, you know, I suppose a bit of an itch to go traveling.
Right.
Again, and I actually, through various, I ended up going to Egypt.
All right. And okay, nice place to go. And what were you going to do there?
So originally I was going out to visit my brother.
Right.
He had taken off a couple of years, a year or so before, and got into scuba diving out in the Sinai, the Red Sea.
Right.
So he'd been on to me saying, you must come over. You'll absolutely love it here. It's amazing. Learn to dive. I was always a water baby growing up.
Sure.
So that was the plan. Go out, holiday for a little time, for a little bit with him, learn to dive, and then maybe come back and get into the world of media.
Sure. And it didn't quite work out like that.
No. Life took a very sharp turn, to be perfectly honest. So unfortunately, as I was planning the the trip to Egypt. And again,
Yeah.
we were back in the days of no mobile phones and reverse charge calls to the parents. So we were, Connor was deciding whether he was going to come back to Ireland for a few weeks to do a little bit of partying, or I'd go straight out there. And anyway, we were going to communicate through the folks and then get the flights booked. And unfortunately, as I was expecting a call from my father to tell me what Connor's plans were, he unfortunately had to call me with a very different bit of news. And the news was that unfortunately my brother had been in a fatal diving accident.
Oh my goodness me, that's
yes.
terrible.
Yeah.
I mean, these are some of the major challenges we all face in life, but you embrace that challenge because I suppose tell our listeners what you decided to do.
Yeah, so I decided that first and foremost, a group of us decided to go out. We wanted to, after we got done with the funeral and all of that, myself, about 7 or 8 of Connor's friends, and my mother all descended on Egypt.
Yeah, right.
Cooey! Connor's family are here. I know. But we descended on to, go and see the place where he was, that he loved, and all of that.
Right.
So we spent 2 weeks, but then I decided to go back by myself because I wanted to learn to dive. And I did. I'd fallen in love with the place. And I suppose, a lot of people didn't understand this at the time. I was very lucky because my parents did. I had a very close relationship with my brother. He was 3.5 years older than me. He was my best friend. He was the person that introduced me to everything. He was 3.5 years older. He'd, always be the one to. So I really felt that this was the last thing he'd introduced me to. So I wanted to go and explore it and do it more. And as I say, thankfully, my parents understood that and supported me in that decision. So I went back out for a few weeks, which led to a few months, which actually led to a few years. Yeah. But yeah, and I lived the dream and did the scuba diving, and I suppose a little bit for his legacy, and also I suppose to teach people that diving is great, but you've got to, like everything, you've got to respect the rules that are put in place. Yeah.
No, and I mean, I think it's a very nice homage to your brother that you embraced his legacy and at least took that on. And you were going to move on, though. You were back to New York, and then you were off to another part of the world.
Yeah, so I spent a couple of years between the Sinai in Egypt and New York, because I was able to go back and do this tour company work for a few months every year, and paid great money, and it was a great experience, and why wouldn't I? So I used to go back, do a few months and go back and forth. And then after a couple of years of that, I decided, there's more of the world to explore. So I decided to go to Thailand. I was a diving instructor at the time, PADI license in my pocket, passport and PADI license. It's all you need to
No, it's great.
Travel the world.
No, it's fantastic. And you were going to spend some time out there, but obviously home beckons and you were going to return home at some stage.
Yes. Yeah. Again, it was wasn't planning really to come home, but then my parents told me they were selling the family home. So my mum was pregnant with me when they bought the house. And, I'm in my mid-20s at this stage, and I decided that I needed to come back for, sentimental reasons, as well as probably make sure that didn't want my mother clearing out my room, that's for sure. So
yes,
I better come home. And actually, hilariously, I decided to come home as a surprise.
Yeah.
Never, if anyone listening, never come home as a surprise. Never works.
All right, okay.
That's
we won't go there.
We won't go there. But so I decided to come back. Sentimental reasons, and as I say, clear it out. But when I did get back, I hadn't lived here for a good few years at that stage, and I realized I really enjoyed being back in Dublin and back with some of my school friends and family and people that again knew my brother and all of that. So I decided to stay.
And you got a real job.
I got a real job, Alec.
Yeah.
My God, talk about shock to the system.
Well, I'll tell you what, this is the first time you've got a real job.
Well, no, I definitely challenge that, but
oh yeah, but I mean, I'm going to talk about, when I say real job, a real pensionable, boring job for life.
yeah.
All right, as you discovered fairly quickly.
Yeah, the job that my father was finally able to be proud of. Yes, my daughter's back. She's got a good job. I'm an account manager for a telecommunications company. I've got the company car, I've got the phone, I've got the laptop, and off I go. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So reality has hit you. So you're thinking, okay, I could be diving in the Red Sea, I could be diving in Thailand, or trudging around Dublin as like an account manager for a telecoms company. It must have been a real kind of toss up between them.
Yeah,
Anyway, you weren't going to last that for too long, and you were going to
No, I wasn't. I think I probably lasted a lot longer than I should have. And you know what? It was when I first realized, we do give up our lives for what we do.
Yeah.
So we really need to enjoy what we do. And like, I chose my degree so that it was something that I could possibly enjoy doing and be exciting. Great if there's money in it down the line, but it was never about the money. So now here I was in this job that it was about the money, and I found myself waking up on a Sunday dreading Monday. And I know that that's something that many people can resonate with. But the realization that you've only got 2 days off a week and you spend one of them dreading the other 5 days, you've got to do it.
It's not sustainable unless,
no.
Anyway, you weren't going to last.
But we talk ourselves back in because we talk about the car and the money, but no, I didn't talk myself back in it for too long.
Right. Anyway, let me put this in. If you're joining us now, you're listening to You and Your Business with me, Alec Drew, on 103.2 Dublin City FM, where my guest today is Alana O'Regan. And believe it or not, we're getting to the last 10 minutes of the show. So we're certainly flying through a very colourful life, as you said at the beginning. So anyway, you're back to Birmingham University to do some more diving qualifications.
No, I just went over they used to, back in the day, when the trade shows were the only way to do marketing and networking, the internet hadn't quite taken off to the extent that it is today. And so the dive show in Birmingham, the NEC, we know the
right.
NEC.
The good old NEC. What a huge place that is, yeah.
Exactly. And it's taken over for the dive show every year. And a load of people I knew from the dive industry, from Egypt and Thailand and various places, were all descending on Birmingham for a weekend. So I decided to go over to catch up with friends and buy some dive toys. But while there, one of my friends in Egypt who owns a dive center said, what are you still doing in Dublin? Would you consider coming back out? And I'm like, I don't know. I kind of felt a little bit being there, done that. And, maybe I need to be responsible. But he was like, look, come on, would you come out? I need somebody to manage my dive center. And I went, oh, okay. It's progress. And it's a little bit more involved.
Sunny. And it's sunny.
And it's sunny, yeah.
So anyway, you were to go back out there, and you weren't staying for 6 months. You stayed for longer than that.
I did, but geez, Alec, I had a 2-bedroom house on the beach with a balcony and a roof deck, and a 5-minute walk up the coast to the office. The office overlooked the Red Sea. There was a swimming pool that I went to at lunchtime. I mean, it was tough.
Yeah, but somebody has to do it.
Somebody does, as I say, and I'm good at taking one for the team when necessary.
That's what we want to hear. We want to hear that Irish spirit out there. Again, you're going to be drawn back to London, though.
Yeah. Look, we all need to be progressing in our lives, and growing. And I got to the stage where I used to say I was a big fish in a puddle. And yeah, I was looking at other people who were living that life for you know, an additional 10 years from where I was. And I was like, I don't want to be there. So, you know, be proactive about your life. So I started trying to thinking, you know, what's going to be the next move. Now it was 2010, I think, at that stage. Yeah. So Ireland was in the depths of the recession,
like the rest of the world.
Depression. Yeah, but I remember I came back for a couple of months to Ireland, and it was fairly, you know, there wasn't much going on here. So I decided London was where I was going to be. And it was funny because, you know, life it constantly comes back in full circles, doesn't it? So, you know, I would have moved to London had I not gone to Egypt in the first place.
Well, there we go. And that's what happens, serendipity. Anyway, you were to get involved in events and events management through a networking of all sorts of things. So just take us to that, because I'm conscious we've about 5 minutes left in the show. We want to talk about what you do today.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Yeah. So I suppose that we can.
So you found yourself events management, and then you managed the account for O2. But you were doing that for a number of years, and then serendipity was come knocking on your door again. Yeah.
Gosh, will I go whistle stop tour through all of that?
Well, you got to an events agency. I'm doing a whistle stop tour.
You're doing it.
Okay, to hear what you're doing today. And events coaching. So we get to a stage in your life that it's now time for Alana to find a business of her own to set up.
Do you know what? I'll go back to, I've only got 10 minutes, but I am going to go.
No, you've got 5 minutes.
5 minutes. I'm going to go all the way back to when I came back to Ireland that summer. And it was actually, I was here, everybody remembers where they were for September 11th. And September the 11th, it was that summer that I was home when I decided I was going to stay in Ireland. And I started thinking I'd love to have my own business, but I didn't know what. And I wasn't ready. But I always knew from then. I walked the Bray to Greystones walk with my father, and I was chatting to him. He was always an entrepreneur. But anyway, so I always knew I wanted to have my own business. And back in 2018, having done, you know, over 10 years in the events industry, London, Dublin, worked with some amazing clients, I decided it's time to jump off the cliff and do it. So I did. I set up my own event consultancy, and I've never looked back. I did that for a couple of years, but then I also got into coaching. And I always say, you know, my business is called Alive Experience. And the reason it's called Alive Experience is because the moment I took that bold move to go out on my own, because it is scary. And I didn't know how I was going to do it. But the moment I did it and made that decision, I felt alive. And everything I needed showed up to support me. And I, you know, had a very successful few years in events. COVID hit. And I decided that I'd always wanted to transition. I was always going to do, because events it's a great industry, but it takes its toll. There was a bit too much gray hair popping up for my liking. So yeah, I was looking to move into. So I really wanted to, I realized through all of this colorful history, every one of those experiences that I've had, the learning that I've done, you know, even when I was a scuba diving instructor, people were like, oh, you're a dive bum. Do you know, I was actually dealing with people. I was sometimes, you know, more of a therapist than therapists are, you know, bringing people to do something and really face their fears, and then the events and all of the things I did, and you know, kind of all of a sudden everything started to weave together. And instead of it being these blocks of I did this and I did this and this, I just saw it all come together. And it's something that I was actually going to be able to use all of my talents, all of my experience to help other people feel alive in what they do, because I don't want anybody to wake up on a Sunday dreading Monday. I want you to wake up on a Monday, jumping out of the bed, feeling alive, and going after what it is that you want to do in life. Because, as I say, we are all giving up our life for something, so we should be doing it for the things that we love, that excite us.
Sure. No, that's good. So, I mean, tell people where they can find out more about you.
They can find out more about me. Well, find me on LinkedIn. My name is Alana O'Regan. You can find me on my website, www.alive-experience.com. Instagram, Facebook, you know, all of the usual places. I'm probably not too hard to find. I've had to become one of those people that's out there on social media now. So you know, you'll definitely find me on LinkedIn.
Fantastic. And I suppose in the 2 minutes we've left, have you got a tip for anybody that's listening?
Oh gosh. Yeah, if you are somebody that's waking up on a Sunday. I didn't know you were going to ask me this, Alec, but
well, I hope not. It's not meant to be a rehearsed show.
Rehearsed, okay. But if you are, reach out, whether to me or to another coach, because there are so many options out there. And sometimes we don't go after what we want because we don't know how to get it, or sometimes we think we don't know what we want, but everybody knows deep down. And it doesn't matter if you don't know what you want. If you're not happy in what you've got, change it. Life's too short.
Yeah, I mean, I think you and I were talking about people living lives of quiet desperation. And too many people are out there. And it's great that you're able to put yourself forward as somebody who can help people with these particular challenges.
Yeah.
Yes, that's a very quiet answer for that.
I didn't know it was a question. I thought it was a
Did
statement.
You not hear you didn't hear the inflection in my voice.
Sorry.
No, you're fine. You're fine. Yeah, no, I think certainly, you know, you've embraced a very sort of colorful life and faced many challenges along the way, but at least you and I are kindred spirits in the sense that I was that soldier also, dreading the Monday, and I just couldn't do it. I was nearly screaming when it came along, and I thought to myself, why on earth am I doing this? Yeah. And I think the message you and I are both delivering out to people is you don't have to, and particularly in this day and age where education is so accessible.
Yeah.
So I think that's a positive way. Let's finish the show on that. A special thanks to my guest, Alana O'Regan. Thanks also to Salmon Sound. The podcast of today's show will be available on dublincityfm.ie from tomorrow. Thank you for your company. And please remember to join me, Alec Drew, again next week at the same time, 1 o'clock, right here on 103.2 Dublin City FM for another edition of You and Your Business.